I mean, I got to be honest. You can break that guy's balls for all the quotes and some of the shtick. That's got me ready to run through a wall, and I'm on vacation. I mean, that's good stuff. I mean, that's Roberto staring at an unopened bottle of vodka. That's the speech before he cracks the lid and gets his night started. Yeah. I'm pumped. I'm ready to roll.
The man can cut a hell of a promo. People are all fired up. I mean, listen, you even have Mike on board the Optimism Express going into the season, which I think is saying something. Mike, over the weekend, we had something that stood out to me, and I want to know how far people are willing to go. But the crowds this weekend at Ford Field, they estimate 18,000 people for a scrimmage. Keep in mind, this football team was dead last in attendance a year ago. They're coming off of a 3-win football season, yet that 18,000 was the most they've had for a scrimmage in 7 years. The last time that many people were hanging out for a scrimmage, the Lions were coming off of a playoff appearance and expecting to make the playoffs again. So what I want to know from people, that appetite, how far are you willing to go? Do people actually think this is a playoff team? Because that's a playoff appetite. We haven't seen crowds like that since they were coming off of an 11-win season, that playoff game against Dallas with a great defense, ready to go to the next level. And you've got fans out there maybe just shy of that total, but that kind of atmosphere and that kind of appetite in Detroit right now. And I think if you have to distill it to one thing, it's not just the quotes from Dan Campbell, but it's the man himself, right? Dan Campbell is the centerpiece of this, and this is before we really get into Hard Knocks tomorrow night. But Dan Campbell is the ringleader. He's the ringmaster, and everybody is looking at him to take them to the next level. So the first question I have for people is, how far are you willing to go? Is this a team you could actually see in that playoff spot? Because that is what that atmosphere this weekend suggests.
Yes.
And the second part of this is Dan Campbell himself as the centerpiece of all of this. Mike, you made this point. We're going to know. We're going to know this season. The training wheels are off. We're going to know from Dan Campbell, are you a coach who can get this team, maybe not even in the playoffs, but to that 7-8 wins, right on the playoff bubble? He'd be kind of a darling coach of the year candidate. Or it's going to go careening off the rails. It's going to be a lot of those Thanksgiving Day, late fourth quarter decisions, and they're going to win 3 or 4 games. And we're also going to know. We're going to know about Dan Campbell at the end of this season. But I want to know, as the excitement reaches a fever pitch today, tomorrow, this lead up to their first game, how far are you willing to go? 248-539-9797.
I will go 8 games. And I think it's as simple as clean diaper, dirty diaper. There's no in between. We're going to know, as you said, and we talked pre-show. Look, this is what I like about sports, is sometimes it's very simple. We don't need to overcomplicate it. This guy, you separate the entertainment value, you separate the shtick, you separate who he is, and we just look at what goes on the field. And the reality is he can't go out and win 3-4 games again. I would even say you can't go out and win 5. The improvement in the NFL is very rarely this linear thing where you go 3 to 5 to 7 to 10. No, it's generally it pops. So I have been effusive in my praise of their use of the draft. I didn't like the free agency period this year. I've also been very open about that. But overall, I can give you justifiable reasons that they can be one of the surprise teams in the NFL. And I believe with that offensive line, I think with massive improvements in their front 7 on defense, with the weapons they've put around Jared Goff, etc., Jim, to me, anything less than being on the fringes of that playoff chase, in the graphic of that playoff chase, it's a failure. And it lets me know that this guy's not for real. But if they take that step forward, not 10 wins, 11 wins, or one of these Bengal-esque turnarounds. I'm just asking for what I deem to be legitimate improvement, entertainment value, and play a few quasi-meaningful games in December. Yeah, I'm willing to go that far. I believe they're going to do that.
Well, stop me if you've heard this before, but the Lions are going to be different this year. I think people have heard that a bunch, but I do see differences from year 1 under Dan Campbell to year 2. The roster, but also the amount of control that he's taking. Remember, he threw Anthony Lynn to the curb midway through the season last year. And
See, that does worry me, though, as he's already been openly saying, I don't know who's going to call the plays yet, me or Ben Johnson.
Yeah, but hold on. Those two collectively took the reins of the offense, and they became one of the 10 best teams yard per carry. This is right around the time Decker got back, and their pass efficiency went from 31st to 7th. You took a couple shots down the field. You had Reynolds. Now you have Chark. You had the emergence of Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if you get anything out of J-Mo, the offense should continue to go in the right direction. Like people say they're going to be different. I think there are tangible things you can point to that should be different this season with this team, starting with the offensive line being healthy, but continuing up and down the roster. They're going to change the defensive scheme. They're going to have 2 top 3 picks on this year's defense, Hutchinson and Okudah. There are reasons to believe they're going to be different this season.
That's the whole key in it. And I mean, I can't stand it when people blindly say stuff, but it's okay to just say, look, I think this team has A, B, C, D, and E reasons to be better. And we go about it, and you look at it, and you go, you know what? Look, I would compare this team. Here's how I'm feeling. Mm-hmm. I'll give you a very specific example and what I think is a direct comp, okay? The 2016 Dallas Cowboys. Now, the 2015 Dallas Cowboys went 4-12 in a watered-down NFC East. And they came out the next year, and I am not saying the Lions are going to do this, but they went 13-3. And they were powered by a big-time running game with a guy who used to be good, and at that point was a rookie, Ezekiel Elliott. Yep. Okay? I view this team's offensive line as a similar comp to the 16 Cowboys.
Absolutely.
I view DeAndre Swift as a similar comp to Zeke when Zeke was real and cared about football. I view their weapons very similarly. And the offense can carry the day. Now, look, again, I'm not telling you you're going to go out and win 13 games. But I'm giving you direct comps, direct comparisons. Jim, they're going to line up a lot of weeks, and the team across from them is not going to be able to deal with the physicality they're going to present up front. It's the non-negotiable of football, and they have it. So to me, when people go, oh, but it's the line, I don't want to hear about it. They've only had maybe one offensive line in my lifetime that I would even rank near this one. So save the Dutch Clark highlights or, the rest of the failures. I'm just not interested, all right? I don't care about Eddie Murray. I want to talk about what they have. So, yeah, I think you can go at recent history, what Dallas did in 16. Why not?
Yeah, but can I be a little fair here, though? That Dallas.
Sure. Who's saying we're not being fair?
Oh, I want to be more fair. The Dallas Cowboys that year,
they started 11-1 start.
In 15, they were dealing with injuries. Their quarterback got hurt. That's the reason why they were 4-12.
Did the Lions not deal with injuries last year?
But granted, in the offensive line. But let me give you this, and this is what I can continue to hear from fans, but they're not giving me the answer. Who's playing linebacker for the Detroit Lions? The questions in the secondary. What's going on there? I just can't see the team winning 7-8 when I still have those question marks on this roster.
But David, let me provide you with what I deem to be some of the answers, and I'll throw the number out, 248-539-9797. David, I think the one way it goes, A, the offense has to control TOP. They also have to be able to be a high-powered offense, and both can be true. But the front seven defensively, adding Aiden Hutchinson, adding Aquara, didn't play last year. The development of the 2 inside guys they drafted in McNeil and Onwuzurike. And look, David, don't laugh and don't cut my microphone feed here. I'm just saying that they do have some young talent at corner and a wild card in Okudah. They don't need to be top 5. They don't need to be top 10. If they have a league average defense or slightly below, they can still win a hell of a lot of football games because I think that offense has the ability to be a hammer. Because teams aren't really designed to stop what they're doing. Teams are designed to have 7 corners on the field, 15 corners riding in the back of a clown car. Teams are not designed from a physicality standpoint to line up and, dude, if they're going out and averaging 4.5 a carry, they're gonna be a bitch to stop.
Their offensive line, you want to do the side-by-side with the Dallas Cowboys. The Cowboys had 3 All-Pros. They were all first-round picks. You had Tyron Smith, you had Zach Martin, and you had Travis Frederick. All first-round picks. The Lions can say we have Decker, Sewell, and Ragnow. Didn't get them all on the field at the same time last year. All 3 on the field to start this season. That's the bedrock for everything they're going to do.
100%. Then you build it out. You have Hawkinson as that ball control tight end, and for all the grief I give him, and he's not Kelsey, and he's not Kittle, and he's not Mark Andrews, but he can be white Ben Coates. Congratulations. 5 yards and fall over. It's a lot of first downs. You have the slot machine in ASB. You have the deep threat whenever he comes back in JMO. You have a deep, middle to deep receiver in Chark. You have some weapons here, guys. And Rico makes fun of me. I think DeAndre Swift, if he can stay healthy, I know pacing doesn't matter when you get hurt, but through 11 weeks last year, he was one of the 5 most productive backs in football from a total yard standpoint. I think the kid's a star. So I'm not going to sit here and serve you the poo-poo platter. I think they have the ability to do it. I'll be bitterly disappointed if they don't do it. I compare it to the Tigers. It was okay to be optimistic, and they fell completely on their face, and people should lose their jobs. It's the same thing here. The Lions don't get to go out and go 4-13, 5-12, or 6-11. Go out and take a big step forward. Show me Dan Campbell's for real, and show me this team is for real. And if we're playing a few meaningful games around the Thanksgiving Day dinner or early December, I mean, what the hell's wrong with that?
And I think that's what the fan base is expecting. How else do you describe or explain what took place this weekend? I'm like, how many people? You're backing up traffic on 75 to go to a scrimmage after a 3-win season?
Well, people are sick.
Well, I know, but Mike, football was on the screen last year. You could buy tickets and see football last year. They were dead last in attendance. How do you explain that switch that's been flipped? And I do think it's Dan Campbell. I do think it's an actual real belief, and people can tell me if I'm wrong, but a real belief from people here that this team can make the playoffs. Maybe you're not willing to go that far, but the question becomes, how far are you willing to go? I mean, if this football team has people going out in droves for a scrimmage, that to me is indicative of people caring and believing, not just caring, but believing in this team.
People, will you support Jim Costa? Support this man in this topic. Support this young man. He is very excited to do this, and I got to be honest, I think he's on point. I think you guys, it's just the crack smoke wafting through the air. You caught a nice whiff and you're in. You're ready to roll. You're excited. It's okay, because most of the last decade, these teams have been insufferably bad. Lord knows the team that is supposed to own summer was dead by Memorial Day. And yes, I know the Lions continually serve you up a pain platter, but I don't know. The way Jim and I are talking about it here, guys, I don't think we're off base. I think they have some credibility. I think they have some real talent. I think they have a framework and kind of a roadmap to being acceptably mediocre with upside.
Boy, what a selling point. Acceptably mediocre.
Jim, the way I always view it is the last team that makes the playoffs most years just happens to be acceptably mediocre.
I thought the Eagles last year were acceptably mediocre.
Acceptably mediocre. Look, my Giants, the year they won a Super Bowl, I think they were 8-8. Acceptably mediocre. That's all it is. I'm not giving out awards for going 9-7, or now with the 17-game schedule, 9-8. It just means you're acceptably mediocre. That's the first step, and I think they have the upside to be good. But let's start with acceptably mediocre.
You have to crawl before you walk before you run. They're coming off a 3-win season, and people are, legitimately excited? I mean, that's where we're at right now. Are you looking at this team as a team that can compete for the playoffs? Because that's what the crowds this weekend suggested. And, part 2 here is Dan Campbell. And whether or not you think this guy is going to be great or he's going to be a punchline. Because this season is training wheels off a true chance to figure out one of 2 ways what